Hey, hi, hello, and thank you for joining me on the Cannabis Man podcast. Thank you so much for clicking on the show. I'm your host, Don Kleppen. This is a show where we're trying to take a journalistic look at all things cannabis as the journey of legal cannabis continues to move towards realization every day. There's a lot going on around the United States and around the world, and I just wanted to start this show to have conversations with people in the space and kind of keep track of these new developments and chronicle this journey because I think we're witnessing history as it happens right now, and I think it's definitely worth exploring more, and I like bringing all that perspective to you here on the Cannabis Man podcast. Don't forget to follow the show on social media at C Man Podcast on X and Instagram, the Cannabis Man Podcast Facebook page and YouTube channel, and however you're listening to this right now, if it's on YouTube or a podcast platform like Spotify, iHeart, Apple Podcasts, however you're listening to this, there's a function to leave a rating or a review for the show that you're checking out, and I'd really appreciate it if you could leave a rating or review for this show. You can also become a subscriber by scrolling down into the description notes and clicking on that support the show link. It'll take you to a Buzzsprout page. You can subscribe to the show, and you'll get a thank you email from me, and you'll get your name shouted out in the credits of the next episode. Lots to talk about on today's episode. Lots going on here in Illinois. Got some news stories to tell you about, some events coming up, and there's certainly been some national topics that I'll bring to your attention as well. I've also got a great interview that I'm going to share with you about a new product that's been available on some store shelves in some states, and it's moved here to Illinois, and it's a really great product that I am just wild over. It's one of those powdered drink mixes. If you've ever had Crystal Light or Liquid IV, you open the pack, you pour the powder into your drink, and you kind of mix it in. Well, these products from MariMed, who I've spoken with on the show before, they make great edibles, they have made a new product called Vibations, and that powdered drink mix is now available in Illinois, and I'll talk about my feelings on the product and kind of give you a little perspective on that, and I'll chat with Ryan Crandall of MariMed about these powdered drink mixes that give you a little boost of energy as well as a small dose of THC and CBD for some of these packages. So without further ado, let's get to all that on this episode of the Cannabis Man podcast. Here we go.
This is Tommy Chong, and you're listening to the Cannabis broadcast.
Oh, yeah. Good stuff. All right, let's roll into the News Joint Wrap. This is a wrap-up of news stories and events coming up related to cannabis in or around Illinois, all brought to you by IllinoisNewsJoint.com. Think of it as the joint you can hit for all your Illinois cannabis news and reviews. Illinois News Joint is set to host an academic cannabis conference. This is going to be in the city of Carbondale, and it'll host the inaugural academic cannabis conference from 12 to 5 p.m. on May 4th. At the Garden Grove Event Center in Carbondale. It's the first of its kind interdisciplinary cannabis event set to attract more than 600 attendees from across the Illinois cannabis industry, like professionals, longtime enthusiasts, and newcomers. The Academic Cannabis Conference features two conjoining networking experiences, the Education Center and Job Fair, and the Entertainment and Cannabis Community. The Job Fair and Education portion of the event with the SIUC Cannabis Science Center as academic contributor combines research and education with job fair opportunities and resources like academic presentations, a panel, horticulture programs, certificate programs, job trainers, job seekers, employers, and and potential and current students in cannabis. So if you're looking for an opportunity to break into the cannabis industry, or you're curious about what's going on in and around Illinois, this is a great event to consider here. The Medical Cannabis Advisory Board votes to add two qualifying conditions, MCAB, in conjunction with Illinois Department of Public Health. They hosted a second virtual meeting this week on Monday, and they took preliminary votes to include two qualifying debilitating conditions for medical cannabis patients in Illinois. They also then listened to public comments from medical patients and advocates about the Compassionate Use of Cannabis Medical Program Act. The two new conditions to be added, endometriosis and FOD, that would be female orgasmic disorder. The article here at IllinoisNewsJoint.com goes into some more detail about those public comments from patients as well as doctors here, and you can delve more deeply into that here on the website. But I do love the idea of expanding Illinois' somewhat limited list of qualifying medical conditions to get medical patients. I tell everybody who asks my opinion about this, getting a medical card in this state is one of the best things that I did. It is 100% worth it. It has paid for itself so many times over with the avoidance of the state taxes, as well as you can skip the line. If you have a dispensary that gets packed by you, and I got to say, the sunny side at Wrigleyville, I love it for its convenience and its central location, but because of that, there is oftentimes a long line of recreational users. So the ability to get to the front of that line as a med patient is so worth it. So expanding the list of people who qualify for that, I think, is great. And then the 420 Illinois Festival announces the band lineup for the event. This is running 10 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. on April 20th, which is a Saturday this year. This is an open consumption event, and it will include music acts, vendors, and more. The band lineup includes the Matt Carter Band, Tulo plus Eads, The Hangovers, Cosby, Puff Puff Poseidon, the Mikey Horn Band, Subseed, and DJ Dylan. There's also going to be acoustic musicians, comedy talent, and a DJ on a secondary stage. This is happening at the Logan County Fairgrounds, 1001 Woodlawn Road in Lincoln. Before I get to my interview this week, listener, I wanted to mention that I am available for voiceover services. If you have a cannabis business, or if you have any business, or you know somebody with a YouTube channel or a podcast or any kind of content that might need voiceover services, feel free to reach out to me. I'm available. I love doing voiceover work. I'm so happy when my agent sends me scripts. I just recorded one this morning. I do commercials. I do video games, animation stuff, all of that. And I love doing narration as well for YouTube, explainer videos for companies, pharmaceutical ads, anything like that. So if you have anything, or you know somebody who might be in need of voiceover services, point them in my direction, and you can get a listen to my demos at DonKleppin, DonKleppin.com. Listener, my guest today, you may recall, we spoke somewhat recently, and if you haven't heard the episode, I definitely recommend you go and check it out. He works with a company called MariMed, and they recently came back into the Illinois market, and they brought products back that people absolutely loved. These are the lines of edibles, Betty's Eddies and Bubby's Baked. We talked a lot about those. They're fantastic, and like I said, if you haven't had a chance to hear that episode, please do. But today, I'm speaking with this guest because MariMed has another product that they're debuting in Illinois. This is a very popular product in other states. In fact, this was the winner of Massachusetts High Times Cannabis Cup last year. It is a cannabis-infused drink mix packed with electrolytes, and it's available in portable, easy-to-dose powdered packages. And it's a great option for on the go. I got to try these, and I can't wait to speak with my guest about kind of what makes this product unique, as well as why it's such a great option as we head into the future of this cannabis frontier. I've talked on the show a lot about how I think drinks are so huge. They're very approachable. The barrier to entry is super low, like gummies, but the social element of drinks is huge in our society. Anybody who has tried to go to a social function and not have a cocktail or something in their hand knows that people pick up on that signal. And so the ability to have cannabis drinks, I think, is so crucial as the social element, and normalizing this, is going to be a big part of us moving forward, this legal cannabis space. So without further ado, my guest today is Chief Revenue Officer at MariMed, Ryan Crandall, to talk about Vibations. Welcome, Ryan.
Hey, thank you very much for having me on, Don. Appreciate it. My
pleasure. Yeah, welcome back. And like I said, we talked recently, and there was a lot of good stuff, to bring up. Betty's Eddies and Bubby's Baked are just, they were wonderful edibles, but Vibations is totally different because A, those are food items, and B, this is a drink. But it's not only a drink, it's just a powdered drink mix, kind of like Liquid IV or some of these really popular powdered mixes that have been, hitting the market the last few years. So talk a little about Vibations and kind of what's brought this on.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth, Don. I mean, when I'm describing Vibations to somebody who doesn't know anything about the product, first thing I say is like Cannabis meets Liquid IV or Crystal Light. And the idea is, small, discrete packets that can be dumped into water or hot water or milk, depending on what kind of formula it is. And, discreet, right? And nobody knows that you're consuming cannabis when you have one of these drinks. Baseball games, sporting events, concerts, active lifestyles, these things fit in your pocket or your purse or your backpack and are easily traveled with. So, we feel as though cannabis users, and we know from other states that cannabis users really, love the product. And, we're really excited to bring it to the folks of Illinois.
Right on. Yeah. I know that, people here are excited to have it too. Because as I mentioned, it's a well-received product in other states, winning the High Times Cup in Massachusetts there. But as you just mentioned, the discretion part of it, I think, is really, really key. I mean, as much as those of us who are enthusiasts like the smell of cannabis and stuff, I don't think anybody likes to smell like that all the time. It's just, it doesn't really fit in with the modern lifestyle. And there are just times you're going to be with people, or you're just going to be doing something where, like, maybe you're in a small space and you don't want to, reek up the others that you're going to be there with. And so I think something like this, where, as you said, nobody even knows what it is that you're putting in your drink. Everybody's rocking the Liquid IV packs and like Crystal Light, like you said too. So it's just the discretion element of this, I feel, is really impressive. And I got to try two of the flavors of Vibations. I got to try the pomegranate blueberry acai, as well as the half and half iced tea lemonade, the Arnold Palmer here. And I got to say, I like both flavors for different reasons, but just that discretion, as well as these flavor options, I just wanted to say I think this is a really strong product, and I know the people of Illinois are going to be excited to use it.
Thank you, Don. I mean, I appreciate you that feedback, and I would say this, that there's some enhancements coming for Vibations, although it's new to the Illinois market. It is a product that's been out in others for a while, so our innovation team is constantly hard at work to improve all of our products. So, one of the things that you're going to see come out of Vibations in the very near future is added minor cannabinoids for additional effect. So you'll see us start to use THCV, CBD, probably CBG, and some other cannabinoids to really help Vibations direct our consumers down a path that they're looking to go down. And I would also say, you're really looking for, most people that are looking for a drink, specifically a drink mix, are looking for something that's going to be fast acting. They don't want to take something and then have to wait 45 minutes or an hour to feel the effects. And, to your point, right, like people want to be social. If people want to have multiple beverages, a lot of times a low dose, fast acting beverage will put people in a better position to understand how much they've actually consumed, because there's more kind of real time feedback from their body around, how much they've consumed, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And that's a great point. What you just touched on, I think that is as low barrier as edibles are. They're so approachable for people, whether it's gummies or brownies or cookies. I think so many of us, who've taken a stoner journey, whether you made it yourself or you had it at some party back in the pre-legal days, now you can get great edibles on store shelves and whatnot. But like the edible part of it, that first time taking that trip, that's a part of the archetypal journey that we all go on here. And so I think that the point you just made about fast acting, that's part of the struggle that people have. You take an edible, especially pre-legal, so you had no idea what the dosage was, and then you take one brownie and 40 minutes goes by and maybe you don't really notice anything, and so that's when you pop that second one, and then you're really, go off on a ride that you had no expectations of going on. And so the fast-acting nature of this, it really is fast. I mean, I didn't really know what to expect, but I've tried these a few times now, and I just took one of the pomegranate acai ones before we jumped onto this interview just about 10 minutes ago. And I definitely feel the energy portion of it. And, my tolerance is such that like the 5 milligrams isn't really gonna reduce me to, a muttering mess of anything. So I can at least take part in this and whatnot, not be too thrown. But the energizing part of it, I was telling my wife this morning, it's like, it's cool because you have coffee in the morning to wake yourself up, but caffeine, as anybody knows, I think, who's tried it, there can be a little bit of like peaky energy to it. You can feel like you're a little bit higher on that spectrum than maybe you want to be. Even if you're not super jittery or like your hands are shaking, maybe you just feel a little more on edge than you'd like. And something that I noticed with these Vibations is that I definitely feel the spike of energy like 10 minutes after drinking it, but it doesn't go as unpleasantly high as caffeine. Like, it's almost as if the THC, CBD kind of keep a pleasant cap on how high you go, but you do still get a kick in the pants, so to speak.
Well, so we do meter the dose of, there's naturally occurring caffeine in some of the SKUs, and it's about a third of a cup of coffee.
Gotcha.
We are very, so one of the things we're cognizant of when we put supplements and ingredients in our products is, a lot of people won't just have one. So we got to be really careful to not allow people the opportunity to oversaturate themselves with any supplement that could be dangerous. We want to meter back some of the supplements and allow the THC and the cannabinoids to do their job. So that's a good example of that, right? I would also say, in addition to fast acting, in addition to the minor cannabinoids, attention to all natural ingredients is current throughout Vibations. So people can know that, there are sugar-free options, there are with sugar options, but we are paying attention to ingredients. So even the non-sugar options are using the healthiest, safest alternatives for artificial sweeteners that are known. The sugars that we're using are organic sugars and really kind of the best sugars that you can use. So we really are paying a lot of attention to our ingredients and the all natural and the ingredient statement. We want that to be as simple and straightforward for consumers as we can, and really at the same time give them a product that performs better than really any of the competition.
Definitely. And well said too. And I love you brought up the sugar part of it, because I think especially as we've been bringing up Liquid IV, it's a helpful example, helpful analogy to kind of paint the picture of what this product is for people who haven't tried it. So it's a perfect kind of, example, because it functions the same. And I think people who are familiar with Liquid IV know that energy that you're getting is part sugar, part electrolyte, so sodium. And so those are both tend to be in higher dosage, at least in like the Liquid IV. And what I've already noticed and like a lot about Vibations is that in this Arnold Palmer one, the iced tea lemonade, this is a with sugar option. So, it's not crazy. It's like 7 grams of sugars in here, but only 30 calories. And, the rest, and you also have vitamins as well. You got vitamin D, a lot of vitamin B6, magnesium, and zinc. So that I thought was really cool. And then this pomegranate blueberry acai is sugar-free, so no calories. It's got, it does have the sodium in here, but it's got vitamin D. It's got a lot of vitamin C. There's 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C in here, which I thought was, that's helpful for a lot of different reasons, but you talked about the alternatives that you're using in these products to help energize as well as, kind of help the system in different ways. The vitamins and these different additives, I think, speak exactly to that. And the sugar-free and with sugar options give people sort of different opportunities to try it in whatever lane they want to be in at a given time, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's the intent, right? I mean, for somebody who loves the Vibations product, they're going to have friends and family that, you know, somebody doesn't want a lot of THC, so a 1-to-1 or a high CBD variety would be good. Or, you know, somebody doesn't, want to consume too many calories, so they'll go with a sugar-free. So having different options for different folks that still want the discretion of a powdered drink in their bag or their pocket. We want Vibations to be the answers for all those folks.
Yeah, right on. And I think it will be. I mean, I definitely think you guys are on the right track here. And you mentioned earlier that you guys are working on even some more stuff, which I think is very exciting, to add even more cannabinoids into these products. And I was just reading something, I think earlier today or maybe late last week, about that THCV has been discovered as sort of associated with high energy. And so just for me, imagining one of these products that I've already tried that I like and feel the energy from, but adding like a THCV in here feels like it would fit in right alongside there. And that's something that I really look forward to.
Yeah, I mean, THCV is an exciting cannabinoid. We've got it in the Betty's line. We've got it. We're going to now have it in the Vibations line. And I think we're going to continue to play more and more with it. I mean, one of the things you'll hear about THCV, in addition to energy, is related to appetite suppression. And I've experienced this myself, with taking just a 10 milligram THCV gummy. You know, my appetite was suppressed during a period of time during the night when it normally isn't. So that was me a couple years ago. Other people in the company have had similar reactions to THCV. Our research has pointed us in that direction. So, one of the interesting things would be a sugar-free diet drink, something like that. So, that's where our heads are cranking. THCV is a great cannabinoid around energy and diet suppression, and we intend to use it as such.
Oh, I love that. I mean, Ryan, you just totally spoke my language right there. I definitely have a late night sweet tooth. I have a hard time not snacking like after dinner and stuff. And the notion that THCV, I think especially people outside the cannabis space, one of the many stereotypes around cannabis is the munchies. And even the notion that there exists a cannabinoid that, again, now very excitingly we can isolate and kind of utilize on its own. But the fact that there exists one that can suppress appetite, I think is something that most people don't even realize is in existence out there. And the fact that you guys are kind of looking at this already as like a potential helpful dietary supplement. I mean, we all know about how Ozempic and these weight loss drugs are like not even on shelves because everybody's looking for help in this regard. I love the idea that you guys are kind of already looking at THCV as this opportunity to kind of tap into that and offer people some help through a product.
Yes, and there's others, CBDV, there's a bunch of cannabinoids, long acronyms. THCV is a very popular one that we are integrating into products, but there's others too. I mean, there's a lot of really interesting cannabinoids out there that there isn't a lot of research on, at least publicly. It's gonna change the game. THCV being one of them. So very exciting times coming up for minor cannabinoids.
And on that note, it makes me think of, I think it's CBN. I may have this wrong, but I think CBN helps to sleep, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that's correct. CBN is associated with THCV will decompose. It will eventually turn into CBN, and so a lot of times, like old weed in a jar. The THC will naturally decompose, will naturally become CBN over time. And that's where, the old, that's old weed, that's going to make you sleepy. Well, yeah, kind of, right? There's also some information out there that too much CBN may actually be a stimulant. So there's a little bit of confusing data, but for the most part, most people that do have, doses of CBN with a combination of THC or CBD do induce some tired, sleepy times.
That's fascinating and totally cool because I know that many of us have had that experience of trying some old weed, finding it. I did this after a dry month in January. I found some weed in my grinder that was, I mean, this is only a month old, but it was like enough where I definitely got sleepy. It was my first time smoking in a month, so I felt it anyway, but I definitely got sleepy from that, and I find that fascinating. But on that note, you're looking at minor cannabinoids. I'm just curious, maybe the answer is no, but in looking at THCV and Vibations does seem to be like energy plus the high. That's sort of the brand. But I'm wondering, like, would there be like a sleep aid drink mix coming down the line from Vibations using CBN?
Yeah, we're going to be having a nighttime tea that you'll be able to mix with hot water or cold water if you wanted to. But, the idea would be a hot water, bedside kind of, tea substitute drink. So the answer is yes, and there won't be anything energizing within that formula. It'll be geared towards a restful night's sleep.
I love that, Ryan. I'm glad to hear you say it too, because during that dry month I was just mentioning, I leaned heavily on tea, chamomile, and just different teas to kind of help me get to sleep at night as a substitute for cannabis. And so the idea of having one of these Vibations that would be kind of a sleepy time, aid drink, I love that, and I'm excited to kind of just know that that's something you guys are working on as well.
Yeah, it's very close, very, very close. That'll be in Illinois this year.
Fantastic. And again, listener, you can. When is this debuting in Illinois? Is it on store shelves now, Ryan?
So Vibations is actively shipping to stores now.
Great. Okay, cool. So very near future. And which are there any limitations on dispensaries they can find them at? Or are you guys going to be pretty much everywhere?
No, we're going to be everywhere. I mean, we'll be Chicagoland area, mid-state, southern part of the state. Our stores tend to be on the southern side of the state with 5 different Thrive stores. So you can definitely find them there. We're in the Rise stores. We're in Cresco. We're in Verano's Zenleaf stores. We're in a bunch of the independents within the state. So yeah, we're widely distributed across Betty's, Bubby's, and getting there on Vibations.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's so there you go, listener. And just checking, Ryan, do you guys have like a store locator on the website or anything?
We do. So Betty'sEddies.com has a store locator, Bubby'sBaked.com has a store locator, and Vibations has a store locator. So all 3 of our brands have store locators within the state, and those are up to date daily.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's wonderful. And listener, Vibations is spelled Vibations, like the Vibe-ation. There it is. And Ryan Crandall, thank you so much for jumping on today and kind of talking about the product. You guys are working on some really, really exciting stuff. And like I said, these 2 variations of Vibations that I've tried, I loved for what they market as, which is the high plus the energy. And for me, this definitely has a place like alongside a morning coffee or maybe in place of it. I just love what this sort of makes me feel like. And, as we mentioned, there's sugar options, there's sugar-free, but the sugar-free option, it didn't taste like one of those fake sweeteners, like aspartame or diet soda kind of sweetener where it's really hollow. I felt like the flavor was pretty full-bodied on both of these, and I really look forward to trying the other variations of Vibations, which are available now across Illinois, or will be very soon anyway. Ryan Crandall, thanks a lot for stopping by again today.
Don, pleasure. Thank you very much for having me, sir.
There you have it, listener. I want to thank again my guest, Ryan Crandall of Meramed. And I really just can't say enough good things about these Vibations. I mean, I have never been one who's really been into these powdered drink mixes. I'm not a liquid IV guy myself. Crystal Light, I just kind of found the flavors to be not so great. But no joke, I've really been enjoying these Vibation packs because I find that the energy kick I get is very pleasant. It's not as peaky or jittery as caffeine can be. Again, Ryan mentioned they do have a little bit of caffeine in there, but I'm talking about like a Starbucks cup of coffee or even Dunkin' or McDonald's. You know what it feels like when you're over-caffeinated, and there's really no risk of that with these Vibations. You do get a kick in the pants, not really from the caffeine, but from the vitamins or the sugar or the electrolytes that are in those. Again, they do have the sugar-free options, and I feel like the flavors are good. They're vivacious. They're full-bodied. It doesn't taste like some of those fake sweetener drink mixes. It doesn't taste like diet soda or one of those, aspartame kind of options. To me, the flavors, at least the ones that I've tried, which again are the Arnold Palmer, the lemonade iced tea, and the blueberry pomegranate acai. Those flavors to me are both stellar. I've kind of been alternating them, and I've been using them as like a midday pick-me-up, around that 1 or 2 o'clock lull in the day. I'll just mix those into 16 ounces of water, and it goes down easily because of the flavor, and then before you know it, I'm off and running again, and I really enjoy them. So look out for Vibations at your local dispensary. They're definitely going to be expanding, and like I've talked about a lot on the show, the drink market for cannabis is just enormous, and it's exploding, and it's not going to stop anytime soon. As we've said on the show, the edibles, whether it's gummies or drinks, these are the lowest barrier to entry. Whenever you're talking about smoking, whether it's people are concerned about health or whether it's sort of even the approachability of like something like a bong or concentrates with the dab rigs and all that stuff, you can see why edibles are so much more approachable. It's easy to just pop a gummy or just take a sip of a drink or whatever. And I feel like the dosages are getting to a point where people can, for a long time it was like you wanted to pop a gummy or somebody's homemade brownie, and it was like, oh, I'm just going to eat one of these and I'll be good for the next 3-4 hours. And then, of course, you don't feel it for an hour and people would eat more and all that. What people want, I think, you look at how we do it with beers or seltzers or wine or whatever, people drink multiples. If you're at a social event for 3 hours, one drink is not going to hold you over that entire time. So you don't want that one drink to incapacitate you. And you don't want it from the edibles either. You want it to be a low enough dosage where you can just kind of nurse that thing or have multiples throughout the evening and never really be put in a place that's outside of your zone where you can function socially. And I feel like these Vibations and some of the other products out there are really kind of meeting that need, and it's very exciting. Some other exciting news topic, if you'd like, on the cannabis front legally, there's a story here that I found from the Marijuana Herald. I'll share this article. You could scroll down into the description notes and click on the link and read along here. But the headline is that the legal marijuana market is valued at $30 billion and is expected to grow to $113 billion by 2033. This article was published a week ago, March 7th, from when I'm recording this, written by Anthony Martinelli in Miscellaneous News on the Marijuana Herald. This is from a new report that shows the expectation that the legal cannabis market is already valued at tens of billions of dollars and is expected to nearly quadruple less than 10 years from now. The report found the market will grow at a compound annual growth rate, CAGR, of 14.4% from 2023 to 2033. North America has contributed more than 70% of the market share in 2023. This report found it was conducted by Towards Healthcare, a sister firm of Precedence Research. The report found that flower buds dominated the market last year with a 51% share, proving their enduring popularity. Medical marijuana for pain management topped the market last year, holding a 28% share. The article goes on to detail the report's findings, gives a lot more insight, so I encourage you to click on that and continue reading. I will leave it there, but very fascinating to get a little bit of a snapshot into just last year where the legal cannabis market is and where it's headed, which, as all of us who are enthusiasts of this know, is nowhere but up, up, up. And one more story that I thought was worth bringing to your attention. This has to do with something that I've spoken about recently on the show, which is an announcement from the DEA about rescheduling of cannabis nationwide, moving it from Schedule 1 under the Controlled Substances Act. And there's a report right now that says DEA officials are reportedly at odds with the Biden administration over marijuana rescheduling push. This is an article from Marijuana Moment. Kyle Yeager wrote this earlier this week on the 11th. I am also sharing this article in the description notes. I encourage you to click it and read it for yourself and find out the full information. I won't read it all, but I'll tell you a little bit of what's important here. And that's that the officials with the DEA are reportedly resisting calls to reschedule cannabis, creating tension with the White House as President Biden continues to tout his role in directing the cannabis review. This is according to an article published by the Wall Street Journal about a week and a half ago, with a report citing people familiar with the matter who say certain DEA officials are disputing scientific findings from the U.S. Health and Human Services that led to it recommending moving marijuana from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. Some advocates and stakeholders have challenged the reporting, questioning the possible motivations of the anonymous sources. DEA has only publicly said that it is carrying out its review after receiving the HHS recommendation without taking a specific position. But you may recall, if you are a regular listener of this program, if you heard any recent episodes where I have talked about this issue, I spelled out why I believe that the DEA would not be interested in rescheduling cannabis because it goes against their very self-interest. And what I mean when I say that is just simply that the name of their agency is the Drug Enforcement Agency, which means that the more drugs over which they can enforce policy, the greater the funding, the greater the control their agency has to exercise. And anyone who knows anything about human nature knows that when you are at all in control of your own domain, why would you go against your own self-interest? So I admit, this report to me sort of confirms my own belief already. You can point to confirmation bias here. That's totally fine. I admit that. This is a theory I already held myself and believe in, and these anonymous sourced reports spelled out by Marijuana Moment here just confirm what I've already been saying. I'll leave it there and I won't go on further, but please do read on and get the context, which is valuable in this situation. But either way, again, we're all waiting on pins and needles, and one way or the other, the DEA is eventually going to come out and take a stance on this. They're either going to say yes, they'll reschedule it and follow the HHS recommendation, or they'll say no, they're not going to reschedule it and kind of take a firm stance and really create this conflict in earnest here. But until they take that stance one way or the other, the longer that this delay goes, the more it seems like they're going to come out on the negative against it. And that's obviously bothersome when we know that the population of the American people, that the poll results show that the vast majority of us, well over 70% now, support decriminalizing or legalizing cannabis nationwide. Any rulings we get from the federal government, whichever department they come from, any rulings that go against that are increasingly problematic. And the more and more that this green wave grows and the number hits 75% and 80% and 85%, how long is it going to be that we continue to let these people sit in those offices and dictate this policy? As I always say, pay attention to what your elected representatives are doing related to this topic, and if they're not doing anything, call them, email them, or if they're doing something you don't want them to do, call them, email them, let them know where you stand, because again, they represent us, not just their own interests, not what they want to do or don't want. They are there to be our voice, to raise their hand and say, this is important to the people in my district. So just something to pay attention to. And again, we all, there's no development yet from the DEA. We are all waiting for some kind of official announcement on rescheduling and safer banking and all these things that are going to make legal cannabis. I mean, I just said that report found it's already worth $30 billion worldwide and it's going to quadruple. That is with things as they are. That's with the status quo intact. Imagine what it's going to be if they pass safer banking so that they can get access to the U.S. banking system and can use lines of credit and bank accounts and secure business deposits and funding and all of those things, as well as opening the doors for more people to try it in more districts. What do you think that number's going to hit when we fully signal that we are legalizing cannabis and end the prohibition about this? It's going to be a lot larger than that number that the report found, and that's already a massive, massive number. Anyway, that's all I've got for you this week. I really appreciate you tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the news stories and that guest conversation I had. Be sure to get out and try some Vibations when you have a chance. I really love them. Also, be sure to follow the show at C-Man Podcast on X and Instagram, and it's the Cannabis Man Podcast Facebook page and YouTube channel. And be sure to leave a rating or review on whichever platform you're using. Subscribe on YouTube or through Buzzsprout. Just scroll down and hit that support the show link. Become a subscriber subscriber, and you'll get that thank you email from me and be shouted out in the credits of the next episode. You can also always email me at host@cannabismanpodcast.com. Let me know what you thought about the episode. Let me know what you think about these products and legal cannabis in general. I love engaging with you. I love talking about this all the time, and I really can't thank you enough for listening and engaging with the Cannabis Man podcast. Have yourself a wonderful week, and we'll talk again soon. Cannabis Man is 100% originally crafted by myself, Don Kleppen. Original theme music written and composed by Yusu Kim, aka Goodson.